Good evening, everyone, on this pre-Valentine's Day. Welcome to the Radford City School Board meeting of February the 8th. Welcome to all those that are listening at home. Would you please join me in a moment of silence? All right, if you would, rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Ray, you want to lead us this time?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, you had a chance to review and approve the agenda.
Yep.
Let us approve the agenda.
Go ahead.
Like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye and raise your right hand. Aye. Motion passes. My favorite part, Mr. Superintendent, recognitions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, of course, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for all the time that you spend in helping make this school division one of the best in the world. I know it's sometimes not a fun job for you, and you certainly don't get paid enough, but we do appreciate everything that you do. And we have a couple of things for you this evening. I'm looking for Kelly. Oh, here she is. Kelly and Cole and Michelle from Bell Heath and McCarg have a few things for you.
Oh,
All right.
And then Mr. Zarpin's going to pull up a video that they have for you as well here.
oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Wow, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
All these
And Ellen,
goodies.
yeah, I'll make sure she gets it.
Fun.
Oh, hell no.
Podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at all
look
those
at that.
names. Look at all those names.
Is yours pink, Mr.
First.
Forrest?
I hope so.
Now that you mentioned it, no.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
These are
thank you.
awesome.
That is great.
Thank you all.
These are the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And
So
while
much,
they're
so
pulling that, it's a really a nice video that the children did for you. But while they're pulling that up, we have plaques for you all as well, Madam Chair. Thank
much.
you
Oh,
for
thank you so
everything.
much. You're welcome.
Madam Vice Chair,
Thank you.
thank you. Jenny,
Thank you.
for everything.
Yes.
Very nice.
Mr. Burris, thank you so much. And Dr. Ray, thank you. Appreciate it. How's that video coming?
Look at this.
Okay, all right.
I had to look in here. Radford City School lip balm.
Well, fancy
Who
schmancy.
would have thought?
So we took that to the job fair on Saturday, and it was a hit.
Yes.
Sure. That's wonderful.
That's smart.
It's also School Counselor Appreciation Week.
I have
Yes.
all that
Oh,
too.
you're on it.
And maybe while they're pulling that up, so we also have this week is School Counselor Appreciation Week, and we certainly appreciate all of our counselors, our RCPS counselors, and then also our school-based clinicians. And Dr. Colley is taking our counselors out to a well-deserved lunch on,
Okay.
is that? Friday. So they're looking forward to
Okay.
that too, but and you sent a wonderful email to not only our school counselors here in Radford City, but also to the school-based clinicians that we have within New River Valley Community Service. And also next week is School Board Clerk Appreciation Week. And of course that's Miss Long and Miss Blankenship, and oh my goodness, we couldn't have the school open without the two of those. So let's give them a round of applause too. Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate all you do. You give that to Cindy.
Cindy couldn't be here this evening. She had to take care of her mother.
Okay.
She wants you to know that she appreciates very much being recognized.
And then we had, as I know most of you are aware, over the weekend, we had an outstanding theater program.
Yes,
and
we
so
did.
I asked, where's Casey? I know I asked Mr. Worley to come and bring some of his students and those that were involved, and to come up here and just give us an idea of how everything went and how long it took you all to put such a wonderful performance together. I know the snow was on Friday, kind of put things in a delay there, but you did have a successful Saturday and Sunday where you had, I believe, 2 programs each. I got to watch the program on Thursday or Friday. I can't
I saw
remember.
it, too.
I know some of you did. One of the best things to do is have the children, the elementary children, come over, and they came over and they absolutely loved it. So if you all come on up and give us some of your insight on and what a wonderful.
So I'm going to introduce these students, and I'm going to turn it over to them, and I'm going to sit back down. This is Christopher Keeling, who is a senior. He was our bishop as well as an ensemble member. This is Aaron Wilson, who played Elsa. And this is Nico Puglisi, who played Kristoff. And
Thanks, Riley.
So Frozen, we started auditions in September, and then our show, it was supposed to be in December, but then of course COVID happened, and it got pushed back to January, and so it was a long process, but it was definitely a fun, well worth process. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we started this in September, then off in January. We had to stop because, of course, COVID, and we had to move it to January. But it was a great time working with the kids, and in the elementary productions, it was beautiful. It was a lot of those kids' first times, field trip, and it was a great thing for them to come out and see us. And we felt honored for them to come out here. And it was truly a blessing for all of us. We enjoyed it.
As Nico and Aaron already said, that was a long time in the making. But it was an absolute blast. The smiles that we saw from on stage, we just singing and dancing, and seeing just out in the audience, just being able to see the reactions of the kids was absolutely beautiful. Like,
Aw.
just, it was amazing.
Your
Well,
voices were amazing.
Yeah, you guys did an outstanding, and I don't know if you all noticed this, but all weekends, Saturdays and Sundays that I would go by Goldsmith Circle, they were there the whole entire time.
Yeah.
And so I know that you spent an enormous amount of time working on that, and it was just amazing, and we're grateful for. Okay.
So we had 55 students involved in this production, all the way from grades 3 through 12. We had 6 elementary schoolers, 3rd grade, 2 4th grades, 1 4th grade, 2 5th grade, 3 5th grade, and 1 6th grade. So 6 total elementary schoolers. I think that was the best part for me, is bringing those elementary schoolers into the process the entire time. And so, yeah, so I'm proud of our program. I think we are growing, and it's due to these 3 of our leadership positions, and they are truly doing amazing things. So.
You also had staff there too, right? You had a lot of staff involved in it as well.
Yeah. So total, my students, as well as the woodshop class, who I'm collaborating with this semester, they also assisted with the set, with the props, everything like that. So it's really all hands on deck. Probably 150 people at least were totally involved in the production, but 55 in the cast and crew. So.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was a very impactful show because
Even now when I go out, I see a bunch of kids, aren't you that guy that plays? But, no, it really is a lovely thing because they enjoy it. Whenever they get into high school, they want to be on the stage with us, and it leaves an impact on them, not only on them, but on us.
Did you all give autographs too?
Oh, yeah.
Do you, board members, do y'all have anything that you?
I know Nico is interested in going further with with theater and musical both. I guess I was interested in the other two.
I would like to, however, I know that as good as I may be, I don't view that as my future because I'm not that.
Comedy routine right there. You were wonderful. And you, sweetheart?
So when I first started doing theater, it was just like a pastime kind of thing, but now that I'm getting older and I'm a junior, it's almost college time, I've really been thinking about taking musical theater seriously and majoring.
Yeah, we have a senior right now who's doing auditions. She just wrapped up her third audition to study theater or musical theater in college. So that's what I'm most proud of, is that we have a group of students who are wanting to continue it. We have in our program probably 40 freshmen, and I would say about half of them want to study theater in college. So that's what I'm excited to see, that growth in the next 3 years, and hopefully they'll study theater in college as seniors. But that's, I think, what I'm most proud of, is that they're wanting to continue after theater.
And two of you just auditioned for the governor's school this summer, right?
Yes.
Auditions went well?
They went great. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's phenomenal. So that's a great opportunity with Bradford
Absolutely.
University right in our
Yeah.
backyard to be able to continue to grow and learn. Yeah.
You're too shy. You get a lot of credit for this. You've grown that program exponentially. Thank you so much.
I'd like to say we used it as a family outing on Saturday, and I was very impressed. From my 10-year-old to my 19-year-old, all of us were sitting there, very uncomfortable in those chairs, by the way, just so you're aware. But the show was phenomenal. The show was phenomenal. So thank you guys for spending the time and putting that on for us.
Yeah,
It was better than a night at the movies, for sure.
Very proud of you and appreciate everything that you're doing for the community. And Casey, thanks for your leadership with this too. So let's give them a round of applause.
Good.
I can. I'll come over here with Nico. Good job.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, while we're transitioning, can I ask a question about the agenda?
Certainly.
I have on here Mr. Graham, PBIS focus groups last meeting, so it was the February meeting, and I just noticed it.
I may have missed it.
Yeah, we skipped it last meeting.
Well, did we report last meeting? Did we report? I thought we had a report last meeting.
I'm sorry.
On PBIS focus groups, didn't we have a?
The meeting
Before that.
Okay. Okay. I know that. Maybe I wrote it down wrong, but I had it on the last agenda.
We can add it for March.
Okay. I don't know if you were doing more or not. I don't know why we skipped it and said we would do it in February. I'm not sure.
Because I did it in January.
Yeah. We did it January and February, and one of those meetings you were sick, right? Is that right?
Right.
Yeah.
The meeting before.
Yeah. Yeah. Did we get the video working? All right. Can we show that now, Mr. Zartman? Thank you.
Thank you for modern collaboration.
Thank you for helping me learn.
Thank you for making time for us. Thank you for putting us first. It's time to make our schools better. Thank you for taking care of our teachers. Thank you for caring for us. Thank you for making wise decisions. Thank you for building a new car. Thank you for making sure we have everything.
Send each of us a copy of that.
Absolutely, we'll share it with you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You
And
guys,
thank you
thanks
for putting the
that
subtitles
together.
on there too.
Yeah, the subtitles were very helpful.
They're always helpful.
And then you have a gift from our Human Resources Department as well. There.
Oh, that's very nice.
Very, very
as,
nice.
as well too. So now we don't have a report of the student. We do have a report of staff, and want to bring up our project. We have Project Lead the Way staff members here to come up and talk to us about Project Lead the Way at their schools and how they're doing with that and where they're headed. So you have Ms. Lane, Ms. Edwards, and Mr. Roberts.
Yes, and you wanna give them this? We're gonna hand you a timeline that we've created for implementation of Project Lead the Way from year 1 through year 5. Now, and I am also speaking for Ms. Patterson, who is sick, because she and I work very closely together with Project Lead the Way Launch, which is the K-5 program, and we also use some of that in our 6th grade. We started Project Lead the Way, though, before this timeline. It's been going at McCarg a year longer than Bell Heath. And then we got all messed up with COVID. What else? What didn't get messed up with COVID, right?
True.
And so we decided to relaunch Project Lead the Way Launch this year. So to give you a little more background about Project Lead the Way in general, it is committed to providing a transformative learning experience for students with lasting impacts from kindergarten through 12th grade. It has 3 pathways: engineering, biomedical, and computer science. Each module that we do modules. Now, our modules at elementary level, kindergarten through 5th grade, they last about 10 hours, 10 days or so. And each module that we do, as well as the ones that they're going to talk to you about, support the 5 C's, or as Project Lead the Way calls them, the transportable skills determined by the Virginia Department of Education as part of the profile of a graduate. And I'm sure you know what those are, but just to review: collaboration, critical thinking, citizenship, creative thinking, and communication. All McCarg and Bell Heath teachers, almost all, have been trained, because we train our teachers, and our teachers then lead the modules within their classrooms at launch level. So then Glenna and I, we are the lead teachers of launch, and we coach and help and support the teachers as they lead these modules. This year, our goal was this relaunch of Project Lead the Way. And as you know, because all of you came, we started with our biomedical week that was so successful. And now, as of now, each grade level has completed or is almost about to complete at least 1 module in each pathway. Some of our Bell Heath classes are going to be doing 2 engineering modules, or have done 2 engineering modules, and they've all are doing a computer science module. Our 6th grade, of course, we know they're our transition year because they're in our elementary school. So we have trained a couple of our teachers in launch, even though they're 6th grade, as well as Candace Davis has been trained in 1 gateway module. Now, they're going to explain to you, but these gateway modules and the modules that they teach are like a course. And so at gateway, it lasts about a quarter. And so Candace has been trained in 1 called Green Architecture. So she leads that one with all the 6th graders. But she's also doing some of our launch modules. She did a biomedical one, and she's going to be doing a computer science one. And she is also doing an engineering one, or has just completed one. Each launch module presents students with a real-world problem. And then the students, their learning is scaffolded to give them all the things that they need in order to solve this real-world problem. And they do that through teaching them 3 different activities. Then we have a project, and then they've got all this knowledge, and they're ready to solve the problem. And teachers become a facilitator for this. We are not teachers, we are facilitators. We just make the learning happen. Each module integrates all of our core subjects and allowing this learning to be authentic for them. We're trying really hard to move away from this silo teaching of this is English, this is math, this is science, this is social studies, and integrate it together. And so Project Lead the Way allows for this immersive experience. You have been given a timeline, and that does include middle school and high school as well, that we have created for K-12. And if you want more information on the McHarg and Belkey Project Lead the Way, on our school system website, if you go to our school, you'll see links for Project Lead the Way, and we each, Ms. Patterson and I each have created Project Lead the Way websites for our particular school. So that's mostly about launch, a little about Gateway, and I turn it over to these that know way more about this stuff than Gateway and courses than I do.
So, MTLTW, you start with launch, which is a short mini course. You go to Gateway, and that we're running it at the middle school as a semester course. So the kids are kind of doing mini courses, and they may take one or two depending on the way it is lined up with them. So they have the opportunity, and the goal is to increase these so that we have more kids taking it. So we started with a grant more than 5 years ago, and we decided that we needed to build from the ground up. So we really started with Gateway years ago and getting as many kids into those programs as we could so that we would get more interest at the high school level. Because right now we still have a lot of kids who look at computer science and say, I don't want to do that right now. But we're hoping as these kids start coming through to us, we're going to have more and more kids wanting to take these courses at the high school level. So the middle school is doing semester courses. We have 5. Which one are you teaching?
I teach the design and modeling. It's like she said, a semester course. And I mean, I'm a drafting teacher too, so this kind of falls right in my wheelhouse. So they learn everything about the design process. They start off with a small real world problem. They try to solve it using some craft stuff and kind of learn about the design process. And then I teach them more about some computer modeling, using rulers, doing different types of sketches. And then they get the big project at the end where they have to actually make a toy for a child with cerebral palsy to kind of work with some of their disabilities.
That's great.
That's my second year doing it. It is so much fun to teach.
So we also have medical detectives up there, app creators, magic of electrons. Brian Dye is teaching several of those classes, and Frank Layton, I think, is teaching one of them.
Computer science for makers is what Frank does.
And then we move to the high school, and currently we only have 2 PLTWs. One is cybersecurity, and one is computer science principles. Small classes right now, but they seem to enjoy it. I also kind of work with Bradford University. We're getting ready to start again, Capture the Flag. And I'm going to include my computer. I did in the fall too, but I include them with it because even Capture the Flag, there's a lot of coding that goes on. So it's a good challenge for them to see if they can just kind of do things at the drop of the hat. So classes are small right now, but I hope as the years go on, we get more and more kids coming into it. And Cody is in the process of training. He's in PD for civil engineering and architecture for next year. And his goal is to take 1 class a year, and we keep adding the kids.
That's great.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, absolutely.
Any
Do
questions?
students take these as electives?
Yes, these are electives.
Any chance we could see something like we did the biomedical? It blew us all away. It was one of the most fabulous forms of learning that I have ever seen. And for parents listening and for parents out there, you must get in the school and, of course, set it up with the teacher and the principal when you can come when they are having these. You see so much. It's incredible. So I don't want to put you on the spot,
No.
but
Well, when
any
I start,
time that you could invite the board, we would love to come
when we
and see
start
this.
the Capture the Flag, I'll definitely get you to come in.
Just shoot us an email and give us some. Darlene was wonderful. She gave us times that suited her, which we won't, and we could pick, and it was just grand.
Well, what's nice about the 2 I'm teaching is it kids are working together. So it's at the beginning of the year, I couldn't get them to talk. Because, you know,
A middle schooler, really?
Yeah, no, at high school. So, you know, they grow and they kind of filter and they kind of partner up with who they're comfortable with. But then when it's like they'll come to me and I go, no, you got to go to another group before you can come to me. So.
And we hope that's going to improve.
Yeah.
Because we're starting that at kindergarten level, where they're learning to collaborate and cooperate together and work. We do it all the time, not just with Project Lead the Way.
Great.
Such good skills to have for all of our students too. So we really appreciate everything y'all are doing to make that program work and the hard work that you're putting together too. They're all involved. Also, we're applying to be an innovative school division, and they're working hard on that too.
Yay.
So that helps with
Wonderful.
that. So, any other questions?
Good, you're on the ball.
I have one. What are the numbers beside, let's just take the top one here. Modules 2 computer science courses, 3 engineering courses. Are those the courses that could be offered?
Oh, so 2 biomedical, they fall under categories in Project Lead the Way. So 2 of the courses that are offered at the middle school are in the biomedical pathway. And then one's in engineering and 2 are in computer science.
Okay, so those are actual 2 computer science classes.
Right,
Okay.
2 different ones.
Super proud of you guys.
Yeah, thank you all so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate you
great.
being here too. Thanks for taking time.
Thank you.
That's all you have?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, moving forward for our consent items. If you had an opportunity to look at the minutes, folks.
Yep.
All right. How about bills and petty cash? Student activities? Use of school facilities? Any other? All right, then I need a motion to approve the consent items.
I make a motion that we approve the consent items as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, this is information items, reports, requests, and comments by the public, students, and or school personnel. This part of the meeting is reserved for comments regarding items on our agenda or in regards to Radford City Schools. Thank you. It is your opportunity to address the board. You are requested to keep your comments polite and courteous, and speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect to the dignity and the privacy of others who may be affected by your comments. Speakers should be aware that they may be held legally responsible if they make statements that violate the legal rights of others. For example, if statements are made that are defamatory or threatening. Complaints about specific school personnel are best addressed to the school administration, who will address those concerns as appropriated through existing board complaint procedures. Please remember that you cannot mention specific student names during public comments, or comments likely to disrupt the board's work or prompt a breach of the peace are prohibited, and the speaker will be called out of order by the board chair. Please remember that debate during public comments is prohibited. For the record, when you come to the podium, please state your name and address. Your comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker at board meetings. And if they have anyone come forward now, Ms. Donna Irvin.
Good evening, my name is Donna Irvin. I live in Christiansburg, Virginia, 1130 Chestnut Drive. I'm here to talk about the grading that we are giving to students that get a 50 for no work. On day 1 in my classroom, I established expectations. I feel that if the bar is set low, students live down to them. Students, I feel, have ample time to do work because they have little to no homework. With the resources in place, such as extra time, in school, teachers help, after school, teachers can work in Bobcat Connections, I have an excellent co-teacher, etc. There's no reason to give students a grade for non-existent work. The work is assigned in Google Classroom with explanation. there's access to my personal home number in Christiansburg. Every student is accommodated, whether that student has an IEP or 504 or has neither, according to that educational need, that student is accommodated. If students receive a 0 in my classroom, the majority of them, unless they are truant, make up the work with no penalty because they recognize it's something they missed or they did not complete to my specifications. Allowing students to attain a 50 on an assignment that is not attempted, I think does a discredit to those students who have attempted the assignment and not achieved that score. It also, to me, can be equated to grade inflation, as it misleads parents into thinking some effort has been made to achieve this score when actually no endeavor has been made. Assigning a 50 is very personal to me. It has a duality. As a teacher, this action compromises my moral integrity, and I question the ethical practice of doing this. As a black teacher, I find this mandate further widens the disparity between black students and other races, since it allows them a loophole to not try as hard as they normally would, and it promotes mediocrity. I think this policy sets up students to fail in life and not accept responsibility for their academic success. In the real world, they are not handed everything on a plate. It also does not teach them resilience. It comes down to choice. I think this school board is choosing for the student rather than allowing them to assume consequences for their decisions. If you want to see equity, feel free to come to my classroom unannounced to find out how students feel about achieving. I set the bar high. On the first day, I say, the bar is up here, you have to come up here, get a ladder if you need to. I reward personally 2 students every 9 weeks with a certificate, a monetary donation, and some little small trinket for achieving well across the board, not just in my class. They are happy to receive this because they know they have earned it and it has not been given to them. I thank you for your time. I would really appreciate waiting around to hear what you all have to say about this. But in case you didn't know, we have Bobcast at school, and today is my birthday. And I have been overwhelmed by the students who don't even normally speak to me, who have wished me well. It has made my heart glad to know that I work at Radford High School, but I have to tootle because I've been here since 6:30. That's my normal time to get at school to be prepared for the day. I don't expect acknowledgement for that. I don't do it for recognition. I do it because I am a teacher. But I prefer to stay in here, but I'm out. Deuces. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
That's all that I have. Do you have any?
I didn't have any electronic ones, no, ma'am.
Okay. All righty. Okay. Mr. Superintendent, it's your time for your reports.
I'm going to turn it over to Corbin, who's going to give us our audit presentation as he does every year so eloquently.
Hey, Corbin.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me. You should all have a handout in front of you that says audit presentation. I'll kind of walk you through that. The audit report, the actual financial report this year is 105 pages long. So we're gonna go over the cliff notes instead to save a little time. If you turn to page 1 in the handout, the audit presentation, it's the document underneath there. Yes, sir. Just giving you a glimpse, looking back, really, I guess 11 years here. From 2011 to 2021, kind of what your revenues have been, what your expenditures have been. And this year, your revenues and expenditures both jumped because of the virtual, K-12 virtual program you offered, and I talked to Carrie just before the meeting. She said that increased both sides about $3 to $3.5 million. So that's why we see a big jump from 20 to 21. That plus the capital funds you received from the bond proceeds from the city. That was about $8.2 million this year compared to what, project was just starting a little bit last year, but the bulk of funds was received this year, and I think you'll still receive more funds in 2022. Instruction, you can see that increase from 13.8 to 17.2 million. Again, that's that virtual program that you offered. And you can see capital expenditures about just over $8 million. Principal retirement, that was a lease that you had for some, I want to say some furniture or equipment that is now paid off. So your total expenditures came in at $30,881,000, up from $20 million last year. But again, that can be explained with $8 million in capital expenditures and over $3 million in the K-12 virtual program. If you go to the bottom, you can see ending fund balance for all funds increased by $186,000. That's the blue line. One thing you'll notice is the ending fund balance from last year doesn't match the beginning fund balance for this year, and that's because we now include school activity funds in your bound report. There was a change in accounting standards. The activity funds are at the high school, at the schools, are now included in your financial report. So that's why you have a difference there. And their revenues and expenditures were included above as well, but they really weren't that significant. They're not driving numbers significantly higher. The next page, we're just going over your long-term liabilities. And you can see long-term liabilities in 2021 stood at $18.9 million, and back in 2017 that was $18.5 million. So they really haven't grown that much. I actually expect those long-term liabilities to come down, particularly the pension liability next year, because that is always measured a year behind. So that liability was really, the 21 liability was really your liability as of 2020. Yeah. Of course, the market was not doing too well in 2020, so that liability should come down for 2022. I'm not going to guess where it's going to go beyond that. But just to let you know what those longer term liabilities are, they really haven't grown that much over this 5-year period. The next couple pages, of course, when we do the school activity funds, we have some recommendations to the schools. So I've just included a copy of those recommendations here. Really fewer than in years past. So I think the schools are attempting to comply with our requests and our recommendations. So we even have one school that didn't have any comments at all. I think Bell Heath did a great job, and then the other comments were not that significant. So we were very pleased with what we saw. And the thing I should have said to begin with is we received what we call an unqualified opinion, which means we think the financial statements are materially correct. And we didn't hand out as many of those this year as we did in years past, because what we've seen, a lot of localities, probably because of COVID, have had a difficult time in getting their books closed out and doing a good job of that. And the Great Resignation is, we're starting to lose some very talented finance people as they decide to move into retirement. Hopefully yours is not going to do that either.
She better not.
But you did receive an unqualified opinion, so we were very, very pleased with that. Finally, page 7 through the rest of the handout is our letter to those charged with governance. This is a required letter that we give to the board. If we run into problems during the audit, it gets reported to you in this letter. We also disclose significant estimates in the financial statements in this letter. I can tell you, you get the boilerplate letter. We didn't have any issues. We do attach to that the recommended journal entries that we had as part of our audit, and really you did not have that many. Sometimes we have journal entries that are page upon page upon page, so really didn't have too many journal entries, which is also a sign that the books are being kept in good order. So, like I said, the audit went very well. We had a few recommendations for the schools, but nothing significant, and we're pretty pleased with how you guys are operating this year, particularly given the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Any questions?
The $3.5 million increase in revenue, you said was a virtual school?
Yes. Yes.
Is that spread across all 19? Is it 19 now or 18 divisions? Or is that just our? I know we're
No, it's more than just, yeah, it's more than yours. I'm not sure how many it was in 2021.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
This
so,
would be only the receipts that we, as Rapid City Schools receive.
so this is just Radford.
It's not just Radford students, though. You're serving other.
Yeah.
It's the non-residential and residential.
Yes.
But the 3.5 million was revenue just for Radford City Schools.
Yes.
Based on their students.
But you have to remember that out of that 3.5 million, we pay for the stride services.
Right, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
I was just wondering how, because since we're the,
Yeah, with the fiscal agent, yeah, that doesn't come into play with the remaining of the Region 7 Virtual Academy
Right, that's
consortium
separate.
members.
independent audit.
That they'll do, the Region 7 Virtual Academy will do their own independent audit, yes.
Yeah, you're just the fiscal agent in that,
Yes.
for that.
Okay, I was under the assumption that it was all different audits.
No, it'll be a separate audit that will, I think is actually on the next agenda
Okay.
for that.
Thank you.
The other thing I'll mention is I gave a copy to Lynn, the new accounting standards that are coming out. I didn't provide everyone a copy. If anyone would like a copy, I'm happy to provide that. We've found that if you're not an accountant, you use it as a sleeping mechanism. But we do have some new accounting standards coming out that are going to impact the school going forward, particularly in recording any operating leases that you have. So modular units, things like that you might be leasing. And it's a fairly cumbersome, Carrie's going to have a fun time implementing. It's a fairly cumbersome standard. But I'll stop there and just remind you that my contact information is on the front of the handout. So don't hesitate to call me if you have any questions about your financial statements or school finance in general. I've been around long enough to pick up a few things, so don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here to serve the board as best I can. So,
Thank you.
and any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yep,
Have a
thank you
good
so
night.
much.
I have one question, if it's okay, concerning this, not so much for Corbin. It makes me very sad to see our secondary schools are showing losses for our yearbooks.
Yeah,
And
that's
maybe,
some-
you know, and I don't mean to put, yeah.
Yeah,
put
they're getting
you on
really
the
expensive.
spot.
They are.
Ever have our kids live in property?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always buy extra, at least one for a student,
yeah.
you know, and I would encourage everyone else to do that too. I know Dalton right now has theirs for sale. I think they're 20 and you can make a donation. Bradford High School also. It is a lot of money.
And that's what it is, it's
It's a
the,
lot of money.
yeah, sure it
They're
is.
wonderful and they do amazing
Oh, they're
job.
they're
And
award
everybody
winners.
deserves a yearbook.
Yeah, they're
And
award winners. but-
that's something we're seeing, not just here, we're seeing that in a lot of school systems, that the annual yearbooks are so
We
expensive.
need to get the word out
Yeah.
about that. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Corbin.
Thank you.
Give you an update on the CARG. Try to go up at least 2 times a week, and we have our progress meetings once every 2 weeks, and everything is starting to look like a school. And the school building is fully enclosed now, with the exception of Area D. And Area D is the library and STEAM room. And as you come up 12th Street, you can see that it's still open in there, and that's really where the steel had been delayed, and we've had some delays on that. So the completion date is still April 12th for the school, but that area could be delayed until May. And we can even move in. We're planning on getting some furniture and things in. Our furniture is in. It's being held at Barrows until we're ready to get it in. So we will install that, and we'll install the Promethean boards and things of that nature in May too. And hopefully working with Miss Green and Miss Reedy and Miss Lincoln Hucker and Mr. Wilder to try to get everybody moved the first week of June into not only McCarg, but also they're going to have to move into Bell Heath again as well. And then also trying to find a time, Michelle and I have talked a lot about trying to get the McCarg teachers up for a tour, but it's just been so nasty out right now with the weather that you go there and you come away with no shoes. Your shoes sink in the mud, and then you don't have any shoes left. So, but again, you guys are welcome to come and visit. Be glad to show you around. It's so much, there's so much more there to see right now too.
Excellent. That's great.
Where did we end up with mobile units that are currently available?
They'll be, we thought about purchasing 4 of them, but it was too expensive. So they'll be leaving in June as well.
They'll leave in June?
Yes, yes. And Michelle has a wonderful idea to take that place and make it an outdoor classroom is what she's looking at doing too.
That'd be outstanding.
I'm sorry, Kelly. I'm getting the wrong schools there. So Kelly's looking at doing an outdoor classroom
Do we pay
there
rent
too.
in June?
I'd have to look at the contract again. I
just
don't
curious.
think we do. I don't think we do. We had a meeting with David Ridpath, and I think at some point in the near future, we'll meet with council to give them an update on how everything's going too, and again, invite them.
How are the costs looking?
It's a pandemic.
Yeah, but you know, the last time we had the update, we were
Still behind.
still behind.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So that would be a part of the meeting too.
Okay.
So,
If we're moving in June, I'm just curious as to when that meeting will take place. It sounds like it's. Sounds like a
I'm supposed to,
while
I'm supposed to hear to this week.
Okay.
Yeah, he's supposed to get back with me on when we can meet this week again, so.
Okay.
That's kind of where we are with any questions that you have on the card, and again, if you'd like to go look, I'd be glad to show you.
Let it dry up a little bit.
Yeah,
We'll
let it
go.
dry some.
Send a drone through.
Now,
the building.
Belinda does a super job of keeping the McCarg webpage updated, and there are drone videos of it that you can go online and see.
Nice.
The progress there too. Budget update. So Carrie has worked very, very hard, and appreciate everything she's done to, we always start with the baseline. So we have our baseline with a 6% raise. We're about $147,000 short of what we need to be able to give that. However, we're working. We think we're going to be able to do that. We may have to go back to 5.5, but we're thinking somewhere around 5.5. Now, this is draft, you all, draft budget,
Yeah.
okay, because we're still early in the process. At least 5.5 or 6% raise. Our insurance came in at about 40,000 more than it was last year, which is great news. And we'll probably have about a 1 to 2 to 3% raise on our insurance for our folks, unless we, again, it's early in the process.
Yeah.
We may be able to find more money so that doesn't happen. But right now, that's, we're not going to be able to add much extra beyond that because our goals were the 6% raise and really no increase in our insurance. But that keeps everything. Nothing has to be cut.
Any chance of any more pandemic money coming in?
I'm hearing more for infrastructure.
Okay.
But not much. Now, and that doesn't, you have to remember, we have a lot of staff members too that are tied in with ESSER monies. So that's just Fund 1 that we have. That's our operational fund.
Right.
Our grant funds are in really good shape too right now. And you have, I think I gave each of you the
We
ESSER
got it.
spending.
We got it.
Thank you for that.
too. So you have that there as well. So anything on budget?
Yeah, I have one question. Thank you for this, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
Perfect. The positions that we've discussed throughout the year, you said were temporary. I know some of them are ESSER funds. I'm assuming probably.
Most of them.
Are you saying we'll have those funds again? But we had talked about a one-year term for some of these positions.
Well, most of them are 2. Most of them will go for 2 years term with the ESSER funds, and then we have to figure out what to do.
So we have one more year?
We have one more year, and then we have to decide, are we going to sustain those as a school board and fund those, or what are we going to do with those? So, unless we get some more federal money, which may happen, I don't know.
Okay. I guess what I would like to see is a list of those temporary positions. Obviously, because we're gonna have to make some decisions, I guess.
Well,
We still have a year.
we have a leadership meeting tomorrow to iron out all our personnel, our personnel positions for next year.
Because
Goodness.
for me, and you guys may feel differently, but I feel like I get a little confused, to be totally honest, because hear about a position and a month later another.
Be gone.
And that's why I requested this. I'm just a little trying to figure it out. So if we can get a comprehensive list of those temporary positions that we could look at. I don't know if the rest of the board wants that or not.
I mean, it's fine with me.
If you could
think
give us,
next
if you could
year
give us some
or
time,
next year.
because a lot of, we're switch, a lot of
we
folks
don't
are
need it.
switching due to resignations, due to, you
I'd
know,
say
teachers.
summer.
Yeah, we could
Yeah.
probably do,
Yeah, I'm just
I think
trying
that
to give
sounds
you
like-
time to prepare. For myself, summer's fine. I don't.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And also if some of those temporary positions, if those teachers who move from a classroom position to those temporary positions, are they looking to move back into the classroom? Or do we need, you know,
So in Miss Denny's office, if you were to walk in there right now, there's posters and paper all over the room, and she and Miss Schill are in there every day going through, you know, where our personnel is, and where the changes are, and what we need for next year too. So just give us some time, and we can get that for you.
Of course, can we put that as go on the agenda in July or August?
Yeah.
I know
That
I'll
would
be
give
ready
us.
for that.
July would probably, June would be probably,
Yeah.
June, Carrie, would probably be the best for that,
Thank you.
before the year ends. You all I just put the comprehensive plan on here just to remember, or remind you to review it and send in. It's still out there for community review. And the principals and Ellen presented that to you, so we're looking for feedback, not just from you all, but from everybody. It's on all of our web pages and access, and just would hope if people would send in any feedback that they feel like we would that would help the comprehensive plan and make it stronger.
When would we, the email said we'd get the individual schools when they're available.
They're on your websites, right? Yeah, so you can.
All right.
Yeah.
She said she would mail.
Yeah, she can email it to
us a
you.
copy when
Yeah.
they were available. I didn't know if they were available.
Let's see. School board policy manual update. Just want to let you all know that we're working really. Tracy Christian is the new. She has many hats. I don't know her exact title right now. It's a lot of
Office
hats.
manager.
But she is working really hard with Cindy on making our policy manual updated and make sure that we have everything in there.
Good.
And we should have that ready and completely updated within the next month and a half or so. That's a huge task, especially with all the different policies that come back from the VSBA that we have to review and update and revise on that too. And then I did have a policy revision for you. It was a first reading. It was one policy. It was GBEF, I think. But I took it out because it was about vaccinations.
yeah.
And it said you had to choose to either mandate vaccinations or mandate testing, or you had to choose, and it didn't fit with what we're hearing.
Right.
Right.
What's in court with the ETS. So I talked with Elizabeth Ewing today about it, and she said just keep it, and once the courts have their rulings out and we know more, we may have to update it, but we may keep it the same, and then we'll resend it out to you. So
Okay.
that
Okay.
December policy update is right now on hold.
All right.
The executive side of Rad Docs, do you all still need that anymore? If we could take that away, we're posting everything on the public site
Yeah, I
anyway.
don't think anything's ever been put in
It would
there.
help us technology-wise,
I'm good.
if you're all right with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that, do we need to vote on that, Carrie? Yeah, I didn't think so.
It's everything we get ahead of time, the community can look at.
Yes.
Secure, ID and password, that part of that's the part that would go away.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that all of the documents that we look at, everything that we're approving, you know, other than if we have a presentation this night, is on our school board website ahead of time. So any community member who's interested to look at, you know,
What
when
we're
we're
looking at.
approving all those things in the beginning of,
Yes.
you know, facility use and bills and all that sort of thing, you can look at that online, and I welcome you to do that so that you're aware of where money's going, and because we've sort of clicked through it pretty quickly at the beginning of the meeting, so I appreciate that our community can see that too.
Thank you for the reminder too, Jenny. Really proud of the attendance report. As you remember, in December, it was
Yeah.
down to 89. It's back up
Back
to
up.
94. That's a testament to these folks over here and the work and our teachers are doing to get our children back in school, and Miss Tapp, who we made our truancy and testing director, has done an outstanding job. I know she meets almost weekly with each of the principals, and we are having truancy meetings now, and it's really helped up with our attendance percentage. So hopefully that'll continue to be where it is, if not get better. Free and reduced lunch is continue. We're still part of the community eligibility program, so that's not going to change.
Yeah, will
until
that continue in the years?
So
you know?
Connie and I and Carrie met today with that, and we're not sure yet. She should be getting guidance on that within the next, I'd say, month. I'm not sure if they can continue to do that because it's probably pretty expensive for them, but it is very beneficial for us because the reimbursements are very, very high.
There are a
And
number of school
our
divisions that are doing that, I've seen.
Our participation rate's as high as it's ever been,
I'm sure.
as Ms. Grant can acknowledge with
Please
me.
keep it the way it is. Lots of kids are eating breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
More so
That's
than
great.
others. Some will eat their packed lunch from home and then come down and get lunch.
That's my kid. She has second breakfast and second lunch. She's good to go.
That's what they do. All right, anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right, board, it's our time for any kind of reports. Anybody, you got something?
I've got one.
Go ahead.
So the Southwest Virginia Governor's School that I sit on their board just had their school science fair, and we had a number of winners from our Radford City schools. So Michael Hyduke won first place for statistics.
Oh, wow.
Cyrus Hardig won second place for statistics. So we, 1 and 2 swept it.
That's awesome.
Imran, I'm not going to pronounce his last name correctly, Akhandov? Yeah?
Enron?
Imran got second place for medicine and health. Hava Gasimova won third for environmental science. And Tommy Bloomer won the research award.
Oh, wow.
That's
So
awesome.
those students who won have the option to go to regional science fair, so they've got to rework their projects and rework their papers and submit it to the next level if they choose to do that. So it's pretty exciting.
Awesome.
Wow.
Did a great job.
That's great.
Awesome.
Goes on,
And we have what, 6, 7 up there?
Six.
Six?
3 juniors and 3 seniors.
Wow, and all those awards.
And all those awards. They did a great job.
Go Bobcats, as you say.
Go Bobcats.
Go Bobcats.
I
Anything?
have several things.
Okay.
One, I don't know how many people have been by the public library, but public library and Radford University, and I suspect Radford City Schools may involve, is bringing in this author, Everything Said is Untrue, Daniel Nayeri, and it is a young adult book, and it is basically his story about being an immigrant from Iran ending up in Oklahoma. And I've started reading it, and I think this is an example of a book that really helps us understand why our efforts and our goals, even in the next 5 years, to really try to meet the needs of our students who come from a variety of homes and places is so important. So I encourage you all to be part of this.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
That author will be at Radford High School on April the 6th during advisory to meet with any student that would like to. We are buying some of those copies of those books, and I think several people are contributing to buy some books. But we are excited for that, and that's part of the Radford Reads initiative, the collaboration with Radford University, City of Radford. So it's in the public library.
Yeah, and so the library will have him, I think.
April the 6th for the high school.
Yeah, and the library's going to have him talk, I believe, and he'll be at the university as well.
That's great.
My second thing is to just tell you about something that unfolded fairly quickly as the result of a press conference that the governor held, and Radford University was part of it. And that is, there is the possibility this spring that the governor may release some money for lab schools, which would be a partnership between public schools and public universities. And so I kind of hopped right on that. And we are going to have just a very preliminary conversation. There's been nothing that's come out of the governor's office about the money that he's promising $180 million for this effort, but we haven't seen anything about it. So we are just going to have a very preliminary conversation about, what are some of the possibilities. And when I hear, what we're doing with Project Lead the Way and our long-time plans that we've had for a Center for Innovation, it could really be something fabulous. So this is going to be a very preliminary conversation that we're going to have sometime in March.
Exciting. Very exciting.
3. Okay. Now, this may be an irony or a meaningful coincidence, but it's very interesting that Mrs. Irving came tonight to talk about the grading policy. I actually brought everybody an article because we discussed this at our School of Teacher Education and Leadership meeting, and also in terms of how we're preparing our future teachers to think about the whole issue of what, and there's extra copies here, about the whole issue of why we grade and what grades mean. This is an article that is from Edutopia. It does say the case against zeros in grading. And there's a wonderful video. Will we be able to watch the video?
I think Paul has.
We
it,
wanted
yes.
to watch just a little bit of this because I want you to know this is a mathematician who's coming to explain that A's are 10 points, B is 10 points, C is 10 points, D is 10 points, and then 0 represents a 60-point span. So we can watch just a couple minutes of it. I think that educators across the country are starting to say, if we're going to use a 100-point grading scale to represent 5 grades, then maybe we need to be looking at 20 points. You still can get a 0, but an F is 0 to 20, and a D is 20 to 40, and a C, etc. Okay, so if we could just watch just a couple of minutes of this, and I will, we'll make sure that you all, it's an Edutopia article called Case Against Zeros Grading.
Changing paradigms.
It's good.
As long, can we get that, is it appropriate to put that article online so the community can see it?
We can put the link at least.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yes,
I
there's
put
an
the
extra
link
one.
at the top. But I wanted you to know we're thinking about it at Radford University. We're thinking about it as teacher educators. And I hope we can get in. There we go.
Let me ask you a question about grading. Let's say a student does not turn anything in. What grade should they receive? I've asked this question to a ton of teachers lately, and here are the most common answers I've gotten. 0, nada, nothing, -5, an F, a K. What? Well, we're going to explore all of these answers and mathematical consequences of these different scores on a student grade.
This is a math teacher.
I love number lines. When I'm looking at this number line, I'm looking at all of these intervals as being equally spaced. So what does this have to do with grades? Let's label all of these intervals with the traditional 0 to 100 grading scale that we're all familiar with. Let's start with a student who turns in perfect work. Where would they be on the number line? It would be over to the right, at 90 to 100. That's typically an A. So we have B, we have C, we have D, we keep going down, 10 points, 10 points, 10 points. So there's our F, right? Well, that's not where we put the F. When we give a 0, we put that 0 way over there to the left on that number line. Look at that. Those nice equal intervals on the right are not continued on to the left. There's our F. So a 0 would actually be a K. Well, I think K stands for kill grade. And I'm going to show you mathematically what giving that 0 does to a student's grade and what they have to do to overcome that. Let's mathematically investigate what happens to a grade when that 0 is entered into the grade calculation. Let's say this is a hypothetical B student. They have B-level understanding of the content. They do 85 work on the first 2 assignments. So we have an 85 there, and I have an 85 here for the first 2 assignments. Up above, we are auto-calculating the grade in that green box. Now, for some reason, they get a 0 on the 3rd assignment. It was late, or a plagiarism issue, or it's just missing. Look at what happens to that grade. It's now down to an F. Alright? Well, we know this kid has B-level content knowledge, so they continue to do B-level work. So how many more assignments will they need to score an 85 on until their grade reflects their actual content knowledge? Let's check. Another 85, they're at a D minus. Oh, they're at a D. They're at a C. Okay. Woo. They're getting tired of scoring all these 85s, but they still have a C. My goodness. They're still at a C. They're still at a C. They're still at a C. Let's just pause there for a minute. 15 out of 16 scores demonstrate solid B understanding. But because of that 1 0, the student still has a C. Oh boy, finally they're back to the B range. They had to score 14 more 85s just to get to the bare minimum B level in the grade book. Our students know this. They get in a hole because of some missing work or some 0s, and they apparently know that they may never be able to get out of that hole no matter what, because they see their grade hardly moving because of the math behind the K, or more commonly known as a 0. We're going to look at some more math in a minute.
We can
But
stop.
before do
We
that,
can
let's
stop
take a
it
look
there.
at-
I encourage people to go to Edutopia and check out the rest of the video. But when I saw this, I went, huh.
And I see eyes rolling. Don't shut your mind down because this is new. Take a look at it. Think about it. Weigh both sides. Don't just assume because it's not what it's always been that it's a bad thing.
So I want you to know that us in teacher education, we are really seriously thinking about this. We have been doing a lot of practices, even within the people that we're going to be turning over to you all. We recognize that the past couple years is the hardest schooling that anybody's ever gone through. We don't have to ask the teachers and principals, they will tell you that. But it's also true for children, for teenagers, and it's true for college students as well. So this was so profound when we talked about it at our faculty meeting that I wanted to bring it to you all, and then it sounds like it's on your minds as well. So that's my report.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I got a couple things.
Okay, go for it.
Back to the school annual. $70, is that right? I know you won't know this, but you know everything. Are there any seniors that will graduate this year that won't be able to afford a school annual?
I bet.
I think we should not do that. I think we should do something about that. We can't, I think we can't get it in the budget for this year, but if 100 of them graduate, we could find $7,000.
Well, I'm more than willing to put it out and try to get some donations. I do feel like we can do that. I do want to let you know that Savannah Lehman, who is our advisor for yearbook, she has a yearbook class. She's purchased a drape for the ladies, and then we have like a fake tux, to stay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Whoever missed it, we've got a green screen. We are tracking them down and getting their picture taken. And most of them are saying, I've got to get a haircut first. I'm like, okay, come back next time. So we're doing it. I think we have all the seniors, and we've had quite a few people move in this year. And so we're really trying to get it, and I can think of one specific one of them said that, my grandmother really wanted me to get my senior picture. He's being raised by his grandmother, and he missed it. He missed the days. He was so worried. So we made that for him, and it literally made his day. He was so happy, and he said he just really wanted to do it for his grandmother. And so we're making it happen. If you're listening today and you want to provide a yearbook for a senior, or anyone at Radford High School or another school, we all have yearbooks. We all have needs. Please get with your group or your family and get in touch with the administrator at the school.
Yeah.
I'll buy one for a senior. Put me down.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
I got a $10 scratcher that I know I'm gonna win on, But I mean, next year, could we just put that in there for the senior class, just to make sure they all get one?
Well, I think we can also ask our yearbook organizer to look at cost reduction and see if there's options that don't cost $70. Because, not only do seniors want to buy their senior yearbook, to do a, picture package for your senior year is astronomically high. To get your prom stuff and your this, there's just so many costs to being a senior.
Oh, yeah.
That, the yearbook is important, but there's so many costs that we would want to cover everything. But if there's a way to reduce how much that cap and gown costs.
We have band boosters and we have athletic boosters, and it would be nice to have senior boosters.
We're gonna do some fundraising. Is there any plan for the yearbook kids to do a fundraiser? I'm just thinking.
We fundraise all the time.
Yeah.
They sell ads.
Yeah, they do sell ads, and if you wanted to take out an ad, I don't know what the deadline is. I would
It's
say
soon, because I think I just got an email asking about it.
When you have everything together and we know how many seniors we're short, I just let us know. Let us see where we're at, because I think now we're just kind of throwing a dart. We don't know if it's 10 or 50.
Right. We'll be all right.
Be glad to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got one other thing.
Okay.
Not for tonight, but in a couple meetings. Could we just look at the Arnheim house? We're just not having any luck.
You mean actually go over there and look at it?
No, just give us a report on it, or we can go and look at it. I peeked in the window one Sunday, but just to see how it's
You were
going in there.
trespassing.
But I don't know what we're going to do with that.
Me neither.
I
It
just
saddens
don't-
me greatly.
Me too. I mean, it's right there, and it's not getting any better.
I wish we could go over there. I know it pushes people that are working, but I can take it any time.
Yeah.
If we maybe did a quick run through, 45 minutes before we meet or something, so that I know that might push you. I don't know what your schedule is.
I think it would be good to get Donnie to go look at it, just to see what kind of
Donnie
Security.
Yeah,
from security
from a
standpoint.
security standpoint.
It's it's really secure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get in unless you break a window or something like that. But we have it
There's
really.
one broken. We know.
We know who did it.
And
Tree limb fell while I was over there.
It according to our architects, it's somewhere between a $3 to $5 million renovation.
And I just don't see what we're going to do with it. It's going to fall to pieces.
It's not gonna fall to pieces, because we got it, the foundation got it.
Yeah, it's
100,000 into it, and it's standing for another 100 years. But you're right, all that work and donated money to get it up and going, and then it's so expensive to air condition it, and it's an outside. And correct me if I'm wrong. You're thinking about a safety issue from going to.
And
of course, I think about that too. But look what we do with the gym.
Yeah. Well, Donnie will know.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll know. All right, I'm good.
Whatever, something it'd be great to look at, that's for sure. At some point.
So I have a couple of things.
Okay.
Number one, we had a virtual board meeting, virtual school board, and Mr. Graham helped me with the numbers, but he had asked if we would for us to discuss going ahead and funding. Was it the next 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
But because of the influx of money, ESSER funds and things like that, So I guess that would be 20,000.
It would be,
Yeah.
unless there's another, so we have a commitment from Stride. We just sent a bill to them for the Region 7 Virtual Academy for $35,000. And then we're hoping Edgenuity is going to give us at least that too.
Okay.
So that may alter, but yes, what they talked about was 10,000 a year.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, as our representative, I feel like it's going very well. Our executive director is knocking it out of the park. She's doing a fantastic job.
Good.
There are really no questions other than just, hey, what about this, what about that, curiosity. So again, correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
I think it's going really well, and the reason for that, when I asked Dr. Perrigan about it, was to give her some job security. She doesn't know how long she has this job, and I understand that. And of course, it's up to all the divisions together. But I do think it's a good thing. I think there'll be tweaks along the way. But anyway, I wanted to bring that up as something for us to consider, and I would assume it will come up around summertime again.
Yes.
Would be my assumption.
Is that part of the coming year's budget?
It would be part of.
It is not currently.
It's not currently in, but if that did, it would have to be added to that. Now the other thing that I don't know if and this is just in the early stages, like our Virginia Association of School Superintendents organization, they have sponsorships, and I was talking with Jody about this too. We could look, because we're the only virtual academy in the Commonwealth, so there would be people out there that I think would sponsor us, and that could draw in money as well. So the steering committee is looking at trying to enlist sponsorships to help us, because that's really our only overhead is Caitlin's
Salary.
her salary, benefits, and everything.
And my question was in the beginning, and you guys may have a different recollection, was that this school will fund itself.
That's right.
And I think
Yeah.
that's the case still. Everything that I look at, it is funding itself. It's just since there's an influx of, the way Dr. Perrigan explained it to us, since there's an influx of money with ESSER funds, if we're ever going to ask for it, now's the time. He didn't say we need it, we got to have it.
Yeah,
That's
just
not
thinking
the case.
ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's are the kids, is the attendance the same? I mean, we haven't any, I made a mistake, I need to get out of this. How are we staying pretty steady?
I don't think she really went it. Rob, you probably could talk about the day-to-day.
I mean, we've had students who didn't like it or wanted to come back and be with their socialize and things of that. And I know you guys have folks that have gone from fully virtual back into in-person, but not like we were thinking it would.
Okay, so it stayed fairly steady then.
And the grade reports that we receive are really good, and they both actually all three organizations are doing a super job of keeping in touch with our students and Caitlin to keep them up to speed.
That was my next question.
Now there are some things we need to consider altering, or at least consider, like you can't join after a certain date.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to join the virtual academy now, they can't.
Right.
And it's been a hard no. And the question is, do we need to continue that? And there are a lot of reasons to do that. But then there are also exceptions to every rule.
Right.
So I think that's something we need to explore. Did that for a reason. Obviously, the paces are different between in-person and virtual. And some of the curriculum's a little different. A lot of things.
Right.
But there are also cases where kids may need that. So I don't want to speak for the rest of the board who's there, but I would like to see a consideration of that. I don't think this year. I think it'd be very difficult. But I do think next year it's something we need to consider to at least have an exception process.
A petition process. At the university, you can petition to be added late to a class, and it's not a regular thing. You have to have your rationale, and it gets considered. And
Well, we could also consider signing a contract with Edgenuity because they have an open enrollment. Stride and we won't be able to. Virtual Virginia will never be able to do anything with them because they're a VDOE entity.
Yeah.
But with Stride, we could probably talk to them, and Edgenuity already has an open enrollment. We just aren't partnering with them right now, but we could.
Something to consider.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many cases there are. I didn't ask.
I don't know.
Are there 100 or 5?
Yeah.
I think those are two different conversations.
I really appreciate that you're a part of this, because you're our kind of you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
our
it helps.
conduit.
It's I made the comment the other day. It's easy. Honestly, it's just an evening that it's an extra meeting, board meeting. But quite frankly, I may gosh, I'm going to eat these words, but it's on autopilot. It's kind of doing its own thing.
Right.
Let me knock on wood.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're our eyes and ears.
Yeah.
Picking up on something, and this is to either one of you, of what you said about checking in with the kids and stuff. I know our concern in the beginning was counselor connection, making sure these kids are getting what they need. It's not just the academics all the time. How do you, either or both of you, feel about where this is going?
I honestly can't speak to that. I can't say that we've discussed that.
Our residential students are receiving probably the best of both worlds because they get contact from our school system and also contact from Stride.
Okay.
The non-residential students we don't have as much contact
Right.
with. Stride really takes care of them. We do. Dr. Colley and Mr. Hill and Terry and those folks do an outstanding job of keeping up with the amount of students that we have that have an IEP. We have about 80 that have an IEP. And we're not really responsible for teaching or them, but we are responsible for making sure we're compliant as far as their
Accommodations.
triennials and accommodations and eligibilities and things of that nature. So,
Okay.
Maybe it would be good to bring Caitlin in a couple of board meetings from now and let her give us a summary
I'd love
of
that.
the year.
That would be nice.
I'd love that.
She said anytime we want to talk to her, and I would think her travel's probably slowed down at night anyway, Mr. Graham.
I mean, we could. I mean, I'm sure she would love to come in person. We could also Zoom her in too.
Either one,
Zoom
I
is-
think.
Yeah,
is
that worked
great.
nicely last
Fine,
time.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long drive at night. Okay.
My other thing, the grade thing's interesting to me. I've seen that before. I don't know how new it is because I was in education the last time I saw it. But in the spirit of talking with the crowd, Mr. Weltons, I think you raised your hand or do you want to say anything?
I don't know if we're supposed to speak.
Right.
Well, we've been talking to the crowd.
We have a little bit. We're not. I can't allow exchanges. I'm sorry. You know, you'll pay me back for this one day. I'm sure you will.
No. Well, I will speak. I'll just say, if I can, I promise I'll try to keep it to a minute. First of all, the one thing I know about being in finance and numbers is don't necessarily always trust the numbers guy because they can make it look any way they want. I mean, he's taking down financial systems because someone is putting down the numbers. So
Kind of like surveys.
Yeah, anything. But I did find it interesting. I came tonight, not expecting to, but I spoke with, for individuals who don't know me, I'm Keith Welton.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to, does Keith want to come up to the?
He probably should, so everybody can hear him.
Keith Weltons, I happen to work in finance, and I was speaking to a couple tonight. They're actually in Washington, D.C., and their clients, and we were going through their planning. They're great. They own a business, and they have family in the area. And one of their children is now going to Virginia Tech, and they're so proud of them. They should be. And it was a great conversation about like how they've all gotten grown up. You know, we all it's gonna work out. And so I got off the phone and decided that I was going to update some things. And I looked, and the school that they live next to, it's about half a mile. And I was just curious. And the students there at that school that can pass a entrance exam to a university or an AP test is 1%. Now there's 608 students in that, so it's pretty close to 1%. There's 31 schools in Washington, D.C., and it's the 14th best school. And before we get too hung up on the 1%, 2% are proficient in math. 8% are proficient in reading. Now, they live 0.6 miles from there, approximately. They didn't send their kids there.
Right.
None of the people who live there send their kids there. And yet, somehow or another, the passing rate is 86%. 86%. So I wasn't planning on speaking, but when she spoke, None of the people that live there are sending their kids to those schools. The people who are leaving, the houses are being bought by people who are willing to pay more money just to live closer to their jobs, which makes it harder on all the people that are there. And the schools just suffer over and over and over. So I just bring that up, that when you bring it down to the lowest denominator just to kind of get people to push through. And once again, you can fudge numbers all day long, but those numbers don't lie. That's the 14th out of 20-some schools, best, 86% graduation rate. I mean, I don't know how that's possible. I'm like looking at it going, 1% can pass the test, 2% in math, 8 or 9 in reading, and 86% graduation rate. So, for what that's worth. Oh, and the school's pretty. They have a nice renovation, so it does look nice. But, so the school doesn't necessarily make all of the pass these people do and everybody else you guys do, but that's all I got.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. So I have a couple of comments about it as well. And something that concerns me is when a teacher stands up anywhere, but obviously in public, and says, what was it she said? I have a problem with the ethics of being told to change a grade. That's concerning to me. I don't know if we need to discuss that as a board. But some questions that I wrote down as she's speaking, from my experience, and some are questions, some are rhetorical, some are real questions, and some are comments. But are colleges aware that we're giving grades? Maybe they are. How does it impact college admission, valedictorian, salutatorian, all of those types of things? Because those are still on college admissions, I think, applications.
No, we're removing them,
Okay.
In fact, many schools are removing that entirely in high schools.
Okay. And that's been a movement for probably 15 years, I know, so it's not new either. Dual enrollment courses, I question if we're doing that in those courses and how that looks. And some big things like, is China doing this? Russia, all the competing countries that 10 years from now, we're worried about them in industry. We're worried about them taking everything from America, if you want to look at it that way. Are other countries doing it? And most of all, two more things. Teachers, I feel like, are being asked to give 125%, teachers and staff. And I struggle when kids aren't required to do the same thing, but still receive a percentage for it. And I think there are exceptions. I think there's always an exception. And the last thing, something I think about with schools in general, something that I've always said, school is your job. Especially when you get to middle and high school. School is your job. So I think about my job, and if I showed up and didn't do something, would I get 50% of my pay? And there's a lot of math behind that in theory and things like that.
You are getting paid.
Huh?
You are getting paid. It's not mandatory.
Yeah, but if you look at a school, no, it's mandatory if I want to survive. I have to have a job, and I have to perform at a certain level to keep my job. So I wonder in schools, if we're doing this, if we're training our workforce 5 years from now to expect something for nothing. I don't know. But in my mind, schools are a training ground for adulthood. Not only grades. Grades are a representation of a lot of things, and I think we know that. But are we training them for the real world when we say, all right, you get a 50. I get the math. I get the zero.
Maybe we need to reconsider how we do that entirely.
Yeah. The other thing is SOL 0 to 400 or 0 to 399 are failing. So our state standards are set with the same kind of math. 0 to 399 is failing. 400 plus to 599 is passing. So there's big gaps there as well. So the state standards are already set up that way. So I have a lot of things that I question in that, and I know we're a governing body. We don't do the day-to-day, but I do feel like this is a school division conversation, unless I'm mistaken. I think it was a school division conversation.
I'm going to interrupt you just a minute. Because this was not on the agenda and it has been brought up, I think that if we want to have this on the agenda for discussion for us as a board, that we say so. It gives us time to do some reading, to read the articles, to look at, as you said, other things, if that's what we need to do. I would like input for the rest of the board. Would you like to have this as a discussion at some point?
I would, and I would love some information, like who are the kids? Like, I'd like to study it.
I agree,
would
and I'd
love
like to
study
finish,
it.
because this isn't a
Make it
discussion, this
short,
is my.
since it is not on our
This is my,
agenda.
okay, I will.
And I'd
I
like
plan.
to also know teacher practices, maybe not. Ms. Irwin talked about every child can make up that zero assignment. I don't think that's true of every teacher. So it'd be good for us to study
I think
it.
generally speaking, I agree, it needs to be a discussion. Generally speaking, we are preparing kids for the future, adulthood, and failure is an option. We have a saying in my work, fail forward, fail fast, and learn from
I'm
it.
not saying not failure. What if the interval was more easy?
Okay. All right, let's put it on the
Well,
agenda
let's
for
do that,
discussion.
and
Thank you.
I'm going to kind of jump out there, Ms. Grant. If there are teachers that want to speak, both sides, I don't have a problem with that if they want to come and speak. I'm a data person too, and I'd like to, if we've got any of that, take a look at anything. And we do need to research it and not just assume one way or the other.
Mhm.
I hope everybody will keep in mind this particular phrase, and it has nothing to do with whether I approve or disapprove of changing that, but do you want them to learn? Are you trying to punish? Are you trying to change behavior? And that's something that guided me for 30 years in the classroom. And we will move on.
I agree, and I'll tell you a saying I heard today. It reminds me of this, and the Swedes say it, and we're a Swedish company where I work. They say, point with your entire arm. Commit. Don't point with your finger. It gives you a way out. And I think some things we have to commit to, whichever side it is.
We need to listen and read. We do.
I just had two little quick things.
Yes.
Talking about Ms. Lincoln Hoker, possibility of putting an outdoor classroom in the space where those things are. Do you want me to reach out to a company to come in and bring a presentation about some official company that does the outdoor classrooms? Because I know that I had spoken with the other principals about locations on the other schools, and if there's still ESSER money to be able to do that. So I can reach out to a company and to get somebody to come and present to see what the financials really look like, because they were very expensive. Because when they do it right, they do it right. It's not going to fly away. It's not going to crash under ice and that sort of thing.
Taylor could come build it for us.
That would be helpful.
So I will go ahead and do that. And the other thing was just to put it out there. I was reached out to by Rob Barron, who has 3 students still here in our schools who are all theater kids, and talking about the acoustic system there in the auditorium. As we all know, those kids work so hard, and often we got new microphones, but somehow the microphones in the auditory system that's in there are not working. And he is an auditory expert with many, many years doing major company kind of sound systems. And so he reached out to me with an interest to do some fundraising, either some community fundraising, see if there's school or city money to do that. And I thought that was an important thing, because our auditorium, think about Radford City. We have the one auditorium. There's auditorium on Radford University campus, but I don't know that there's any other auditorium that could sit that many people in our city.
I don't know that either.
So he's going to look into some funds, and he's going to come and speak to you about that, and hopefully to Mr. Horton and
He's interested, yeah.
So we're going to see what we can do about that. But I think it's such an asset for not only our schools, but for the community to be able to use that space and have everybody be able to hear.
Sure.
So that's it for me.
Thank you, Jenny.
Yep.
Anything else?
Good.
Okay, we'll talk about that at another time then. All right, moving on to our action items. We have our VSBA Business Honor Roll Resolution.
Yes, ma'am, and I'll read it to you. We do this every year, whereas public schools and local businesses are an integral part of this community, and whereas many local businesses play a crucial role in supporting our schools, and whereas the economic health of our community, state, and nation depends on a strong public school system, and whereas collaboration between local public schools and local businesses strengthens schools and the business community alike by providing a well-trained and highly educated workforce, and whereas an excellent public school system is vital to the quality of life in this community and fundamental to preserving a strong democratic society now and in the future. Therefore, be it resolved that Rapid City Public School names NRV Pediatrics, New River Valley Community Services, and the New River Valley Health Department to the 2022 Virginia School Board Association Business Honor Roll, showing appreciation for the firm's ongoing support of this community's public schools. Your hard work has aided this community in focusing on the goal of providing the best public schools we can for every child who attends. And that would be adopted February 8th, 2022, and I can tell you they have all played a very crucial role.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we just need to sign that.
Oh, you need to make a motion to approve.
I'll make a
and sign.
motion that we approve the 2022 Business Honor Roll Resolution.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
They're fantastic organizations. We couldn't have done these past 2 years without their support.
Yep,
absolutely. All right, all in favor say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. B, superintendent's contract review for the listing and company, current folks in our audience. We will be reviewing our superintendent's contract that is set to expire next year in closed session tonight. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
That it?
That's all I have.
That's it. All right, folks, we're in closed session.
Nope.
Nope.
That under Virginia statute, whoops, I need my glasses for this, 2.23711, that we go into closed meeting for the following purpose. Reason number 1, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation, and evaluate, and that's it. Sorry.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye. And then I also move that we go into closed session for reason number 8, which is consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Motion passes. Is that all?
That's it.
Now we are in closed session. We're ready. All right, I need a motion to convene in regular session, please.
I'll make-
I move we convene in regular session.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Motion passes. Certification, Dr. Altieri.
I make a motion that during our closed session, we only discussed, first of all, reason number 1, discussion, consideration of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, salaries, resignations, or evaluation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And reason number 8, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters.
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor raise your hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Do we need to certify that we had the action item B? Do we need to certify that or no?
We have to do that.
That was under personnel. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
We don't have any tuition students, no student matters, so
We need for you to all approve.
Personnel report 1.1.
okay.
I make a motion that we approve personnel report 1.0.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And I would like to ask if you all would consider giving a stipend to our school nurses who worked over the winter break to help us continue to keep our community safe and help our extracurricular activities and athletics going during that time frame with all the Omicron that we were dealing with.
All right. I need a motion to approve the recommendation of the superintendent for our school nurses as stated.
I'll make a motion for the stipend for our school nurses.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just one discussion item. I'd like to just say Mr. Graham made it clear, teachers are being paid to cover classes and nurses don't get that.
Good
So
point.
that's
a
the
good
reason
thing.
that we feel like that's the right thing to do.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Making that
And they
clear.
worked during break to help out with
Yes.
athletics.
Okay. Motion, second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Motion
you all.
passes.
And then I'd like to seek your all's approval to be able to add 3 additional sick days this year to all staff members in Radford City Schools. And those sick days could carry over to the next year or year after for many of our employees, most of our employees, all of them who've had to deal with COVID-19.
All right, I need a motion to honor or give our staff 3 more sick days as stated, reasons stated by Mr. Graham.
I'll make a motion to add 3 sick days to our teachers.
All staff.
All staff,
faculty
teachers and staff
Yes.
for COVID-related illness.
I have a motion. I need a second.
Second. Whoops.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Is there discussion?
Ms. Long has some discussion.
May I ask, you said COVID-related illness and her motion? Is that what it is for, or is it,
Meaning because of what we're dealing with COVID.
so it's not because of COVID-related?
We're not going to
illness?
require documentation for COVID-related illnesses,
okay.
but that is the reason. If we didn't have COVID, we probably wouldn't be doing this, but because we've had so many incidents and so many issues with it, that's we feel is the right thing to do.
All staff members, no matter what the reason for the
Yes.
sickness.
Do you need me to clarify?
So we're not, no, I think your motion is fine, just to be clear, I think you know,
Okay.
but just to be clear, Carrie, too, that there is no documentation that's gonna be needed for that, to use those sick days.
And I guess I need to understand, because I'm the one that will give them the day. So am I just going to add
Yes.
effective
Can you do it?
can you give me an effective date?
We talked about November 11th,
Okay.
after the
So-
first quarter when Omicron was hitting.
someone didn't have any more sick days, and so they would have had leave without pay. It would be time consuming to go back and.
So tell
pay
me
them
what
for
would
those
be,
days.
what would be best for the finance? To
I
say
think
after first semester,
Or effective now?
or effective now? Yeah.
You could do, the day that January 18th, was that the first, that was the day after?
That's Martin Luther King Day.
Holiday?
Mm-hmm.
So I have not pulled the leave for that time period.
Okay. So you would have to make that effective then, Jenny, too.
Okay. So January 18th?
Yes,
Did we make, I just make sure that.
that's right, because 17th was,
Was Martin Luther King
it
holiday.
was. Here, I can look real
You
quick.
also-
So you have to make an
was, but
amendment
Friday
to
was
your
the
motion.
Okay.
Yes,
So the 18th?
it's the 18th.
But that's the Tuesday, the school day.
Correct. So we had Martin Luther King Day and
On
it
the
came back
17th.
on that Tuesday.
That's
Just
true.
here, let me just, yeah, Tuesday the 18th.
So I'd like to make an amendment to my motion to change the start date of adding 3 sick days to every teacher and staff as January 18th of 2022.
All right, motion,
Second.
amendment, second.
Second.
All right, we have the second.
Third.
Any other discussion?
Just again, to clarify for people who are listening, that this is an unusual year, and people have gotten sick and their families have gotten sick, and we don't want anybody to be penalized and lose pay because they've had to take care of themselves and their family.
And maybe justify so they understand why 3 days being the.
And 3 days is, if you, you have to stay home for 5 days if you have COVID or somebody in your family has COVID. And so that gives you more than half of those 5 days.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.